Hi everyone, I'm Matthew Allo. Welcome to your MCE practice exam session where we'll tackle questions just like the real exam. I'll guide you step by step so you can practice, improve, and boost your confidence. Stay focused, follow along, and let's get the exam ready together. So let's dive in. The 21 CID collaboration rubric is shown in the following table. Level rubric. Level 1. Students are not required to work together in pairs or groups. Level 2. Students do work together but they do not have shared responsibility. Level 3. Students do have shared responsibility but they are not required to make substantive decisions together. Level 4. Students do have shared responsibility and they do make substantive decisions together about the content, process, or product of their work, but their work is not interdependent. Level 5. Students do have shared responsibility and they do make substantive decisions together about the content, process, or product of their work, and their work is interdependent. Match the 21 CLD collaboration rubric levels with the level learning activity. To answer, drag the appropriate level on the left to its learning activity on the right. Each level may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Students work in groups of 3 to research a local political issue. They decide the best way to report their results is by creating a PowerPoint presentation, presenting both sides of the issue. One student creates the PowerPoint deck and presents it to the class. Level 4. Students do have shared responsibility and they do make substantive decisions together about the content, process, or product of their work, but their work is not interdependent. So students work in groups of 3 to research a local political issue. They decide the best way to report their result is by creating a PowerPoint presentation presenting both sides of the issue. One student creates the PowerPoint deck and presents it to the class. Okay, it's level 4. Let's go with level 4. Okay, your political science class decides to poll their schoolmates about a local ballot measure. Together, they create a survey using Microsoft 365. Then they divide into teams to collect data, graph the results, and create a presentation to report their findings. Okay, this go with level 5. Level 5. Students engage in a classroom discussion about a national political issue. Each student is required to choose a side of the issue and support their team by sharing with the class the reason for their choice. Should be level 3. Yes, level 3. The teacher assigned a political science student to research both sides of a national issue and write a report. 5 of the students decide to equally divide the research task, then share the results with each other before writing their individual report. Let's go through level 3 again. Students do have shared responsibility, but they are not required to make substantive decisions together. Level 4. Students do have shared responsibility and they do make substantive decisions together about the content, process, or product of their work, but their work is not interdependent. The teacher assigns a political science student. The teacher assigns a political science student. A teacher assigns a political science student to research both sides of a national issue and write a report. 5 of the students decide to equally divide the research task, then share the results with each other before writing their individual report. Okay, this should still be level 3. Write individual report. Okay, it should be level 3.
Okay, let's log this one. Level 3 and still bring this level 3. Okay, so that is done. Correct. Students submit assignment for grading, participate in discussions, and take quizzes through a learning management system LMS, which two learning activities contain characteristics of collaboration according to the 21 CLD rubric for collaboration. Choose two. Students write poems on a topic of their choice, then use the LMS to share their poems with their student peers for editing. Okay, this contains characteristic of collaboration. Okay, choose this. The teacher posts an online discussion topic. Students individually post responses. No, this does not contain characteristic of collaboration. Okay, students respond to classmate posts using an online discussion forum. Okay, this contains characteristic of collaboration. Students create a resume in response to a fictitious job posted by the teacher. They submit their resumes for evaluation through the LMS. No, okay, correct. Your science students are working in pairs to create a data booklet about the water cycle. At the conclusion of this activity, you want your students to discuss and critique each other's project. Which activities are examples of facilitating student collaboration to evaluate these projects? For each of the following activities, select yes if the statement is true, otherwise select no. Store all of the projects on a USB drive for the student to take to the computer lab for viewing. No, this does not facilitate student collaboration. Upload the project to a shared folder on the school network and grant the student access. No, this doesn't facilitate student collaboration. Copy all of the student projects onto the teacher's computer and display them to the class using a data projector. Yes, this will facilitate student collaboration. Post all of the projects to the classroom website and invite the student to post comments about each project. Yes, this will facilitate student collaboration. Okay, correct. You want to introduce your student to a classroom or students in another school. The students will be working together on a project. You need to explain the objectives of the project and to acquaint the students with each other before they begin writing to each other. The students all have tablet computers. In addition, the teachers in each classroom has a projector, a desktop computer equipped with speakers, internet connectivity, Microsoft Office 365, and Skype, which will be the most effective collaboration resources to use. Provide students with a spreadsheet containing data about the other students. No. Have your students visit each other's school's website. No. Exchange data yearbooks between the two schools. No. Schedule a video conference between the classrooms. Yes, correct. The 21 CLD skill communication rubric is shown the following table. Level rubric. Level 1. Students are not required to produce extended or multimodal communication. Level 2. Students are required to produce extended communication or multimodal communication, but they are not required to provide supporting evidence or design their work for a particular audience. Level 3. Students are required to produce extended communication or multimodal communication, and they are required to provide supporting evidence. They must explain their ideas or support a thesis with facts or examples, or they are required to design their communication for a particular audience, but not both. Level 4. Students are required to produce extended communication or multimodal communication, and they are required to provide supporting evidence, and they are required to design their communication for a particular audience. The school district has announced a science fair competition for 11 to 12-year-old students. Rules state that the students display must include the following information: hypothesis of the experiment, explanation of the test procedure, result, and conclusion. How can this learning activity be modified to meet level 4 of the 21 CLD rubric for skilled communication? Okay. Include professional journal citation from supporting research studies. Okay, level 4 again. Students are required to produce extended communication or multimodal communication, and they are required to provide supporting evidence, and they are required to design their communication for a particular audience. Okay, yes, no. Include a PowerPoint kiosk designed for 11 to 12-year-old viewers that summarizes the students' experiments. Okay, let's see others. Add photos of the test procedure and graphs of the results. Have the students stand by the display to answer questions. No, no. Okay, this should be correct. Include a PowerPoint kiosk designed for 11 to 12-year-old viewers that summarizes the students' experiments. Include a PowerPoint kiosk designed for 11 to 12-year-old viewers that summarizes the students' experiments. Okay, this one meets the level 4 of the 21 CLD rubric for skill communication. The students are required to produce external communication, multimodal communication, and they are required to provide supporting evidence, and they are required to design communication for a particular audience. Okay, correct. The 21 CLD skill communication rubric is shown in the following table. Level rubric. Level 1. Students are not required to produce extended or multimodal communication. Level 2. Students are required to produce extended communication or multimodal communication, but they are not required to provide supporting evidence or design their work for a particular audience. Level 3. Students are required to produce excellent communication or multimodal communication, and they are required to provide supporting evidence. They must explain their ideas or support a thesis with facts or examples, or they are required to design their communication for a particular audience, but not both. Level 4. Students are required to produce excellent communication or multimodal communication, and they are required to provide supporting evidence, and they are required to design their communication for a particular audience. Students in your drama class are studying mime as a theatrical medium. You need to transform the learning activity into one that facilitates skilled communication. At level 4 of the 21 CLD learning activity rubric. For each of the following learning activities, select yes if it facilitates level 4 or skilled communication, otherwise select no. Okay, let's go through level 4 again. Students are required to produce extended communication or multimodal communication, and they are required to provide supporting evidence, and they are required to design their communication for a particular audience. Okay, so let's look at these learning activities one after the other. Students will work in teams of 4 to create a video that shows each student acting out a story using body motions. A member of the team will narrate the video, explaining the creative process and inspiration. The video will be posted on the school website. On the school website. Okay. Does this facilitate level 4 skill communication? Yes, it does. Students will organize a lunchtime performance of miming and select tickets to other students at the school. The performance will be held in the school auditorium. Drama students will take turns narrating the performances of their peers for the benefit of the paying audience. Okay, does this support or facilitate level 4 skill communication? Okay, yes. Students must create a mime. Explanation of their performance will be optional. No. Students will view videos of professional mimes, Charlie Chaplin, Marcel Marceau, and Red Skelton. The students will then write a reflective summary of the performances and use this information as supporting evidence to script their own performance. No, this does not facilitate level 4 skill communication. Okay, correct, correct, correct. Assign a project to your class of 15 to 16-year-old students. The project has the following components. Students will interview a healthcare worker about a known health issue. Students will research the issue to collect medical information. Students will create a data presentation about the issue with images and quotes from the interview. Students will share their presentation with the entire class for peer evaluation. For each of the following rubrics, select yes if the project meets the 21 CLD rubric for skilled communication, otherwise select no. Students produce multimodal communication. Yes. Students explain a thesis with examples. Students explain a thesis with examples. No. Students provide supporting evidence. Yes. Students design their communication for a particular audience. Healthcare worker. Okay. Particular audience. Yes. Okay. Correct. This question requires that you evaluate the underlined text to determine if it is correct. The horticulture class of 17 to 18-year-old students have been asked to landscape the work area that leads from the school parking lot to the performing arts auditorium. You assign your student the task of identifying plants for the project. You also ask your students to propose a communication component for the project. Your students propose creating a weatherproof marker for each plant that identifies its scientific name, common name, social use, and a color photo to educate visitors along the walkway. This learning activity must meet the level 4 of the 21 CLD skill communication rubric. Review the underlying text. It makes the statement correct. Select no change is needed. If the statement is incorrect, select the answer choice that makes the statement correct. Okay, so the underlying text, the student proposed creating a weatherproof marker for each plant that identifies its scientific name, common name, social use, and a color photo to educate visitors along the walkway. This learning activity must meet the level 4 of the 21 CLD skilled communication rubric. Okay, let's go through this letter addressed to the school board, thanking them for this assignment. No, PowerPoint kiosk for display in the auditorium lobby that advertises student landscaping services. No, time-lapse video of the landscaping from the first planting to last planting. No, so no change needed. This is perfect. A weatherproof marker for each plant that identifies its scientific name, common name, social use, and a color photo to educate visitors along the walkway. So this already meets the level 4 of the 21 CLD skill communication rubric. Okay, so that requires students to explain clearly, to explain the complex idea in a clear way. So they just address it as well towards a particular audience using a particular medium. So explaining complex ideas in a clear and effective way. Okay, that is okay. So it meets the level 4 of the 21 CID scale communication rubric. Okay, so now, okay, correct. The 21 CLD knowledge construction rubric is shown in the following table. Level rubric. Level 1. The learning activity does not require students to construct knowledge. Students can complete the activity by reproducing information or by using familiar procedures. Level 2. The learning activity does not require students to construct knowledge by interpreting, analyzing, synthesizing, or evaluating information or ideas. But the activity's main requirement is not knowledge construction. Level 3. The learning activity's main requirement is knowledge construction, but the learning activity does not require students to apply their knowledge in a new context. Level 4. The learning activity's main requirement is knowledge construction, and the learning activity does not require students to apply their knowledge in a new context. The learning activity does not have learning goals in more than one subject. The learning level 5. The learning activity's main requirement is knowledge construction, and the learning activity does not require students to apply their knowledge in a new context. And the knowledge construction is interdisciplinary. The activity does not have learning goals in more than one subject. Match The appropriate learning match the appropriate level of the 21 CLD knowledge construction rubric to each learning activity. Answer: drag the appropriate rubric level from the column on the left to its learning activity on the right. Each rubric level may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Okay, so a class of 9-year-old students are memorizing a list of spelling words using flashcards. Okay, this this should go with level one. A class of 9-year-old students are memorizing a list of spelling words using flashcards. Learning activity does not require students to construct knowledge. Students can complete the activity by reproducing the information or by using familiar procedure. Okay, that's level one. Yeah. International students, international study students analyze a set of population graphs to identify which countries in the world are growing the fastest. Okay, level two, the learning activity does not require students to construct knowledge by interpreting, analyzing, synthesizing, or evaluating information or ideas. But the activity's main requirement is not knowledge construction. Okay, this should be level two. Okay, that should go with level two. Then mathematics students are learning to construct graphs or quadratic functions. So let's level two again. The learning activity does not require students to construct knowledge by interpreting, analyzing, synthesizing, or evaluating information or ideas. But the activity's main requirement is not knowledge construction. Okay, this should be level two again. So let's say the remaining one. Students practice dribbling a basketball and watch videos of correct dribbling techniques. Students practice dribbling a basketball and watch videos of correct dribbling techniques. Okay, let's see level three. Learning activities main requirement is knowledge construction, but the learning activity does not require students to apply their knowledge in a new context. In a new context, okay. Or that should be level three. Does not require them to apply their knowledge in a new context. Okay, still dribbling. Students practice dribbling in a basketball and watch videos of correct dribbling techniques. Okay, that's level three. Okay, so that's done. Correct. Medical students read several assigned journals, articles about alcohol addiction, marijuana addiction, and gambling addiction. Their instructor then assigns them to formulate a hypothesis about addiction to video games. Which level of the 21 CLD knowledge construction rubric does this learning activity fulfill? The learning activity requires students to construct knowledge by interpreting, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information or ideas. But the main requirement is not knowledge construction. The learning activity's main requirement is knowledge construction, but the learning activity does not require students to apply their knowledge in a new context. The learning activity's main requirement is knowledge construction, and the learning activity requires students to apply their knowledge in a new context, but the learning activity does not have learning goals in more than one subject. The learning activity's main requirement is knowledge construction. The learning activity requires students to apply their knowledge in a new context, and the knowledge construction is interdisciplinary. Okay, so looking at this level of knowledge construction rubric is fulfilled by the learning activity. Okay, so the learning activity fulfill this level of knowledge construction rubric. Right, they have to formulate a hypothesis about additions to video game, and it does not have learning goal in more than one subject. So it's just restricted. So that is correct. So let's look at this. So that is correct. This question requires that you evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. Students in an animation art class are learning how to move shapes using Microsoft 3D Builder. As a final project to this lesson, you assign the student to bounce several balls of different sizes across the screen. This learning activity must meet the level 5 of the 21C LD knowledge construction rubric. Review the underlying text. If it makes the statement correct, select no changes needed. If the statement is incorrect, select the answer choice that makes the statement correct. Okay, so in level 5 of the 21C LD knowledge construction rubric, so the level 5 of the 21C LD knowledge construction rubric states that the main requirement is knowledge construction, and the students apply knowledge in a new context, and the knowledge is, or the activity is, interdisciplinary. So looking at what we have here, comparing with the options we have here. Okay, so this, you assign the student to bounce several balls of different sizes across the screen. So looking at this does not meet the level 5 of the 21C LD knowledge construction rubric. So we must look for an activity here that meets level 5 of the 21C LD knowledge construction rubric. Okay, going through this, of a triangle into a square, change colors of a circle, then create a model of our solar system with the planet orbiting around the sun. So the students in an animation art class are learning how to move shapes using Microsoft 3D Builder. So for this to meet, for an activity that meets level 5 of the 21CLD knowledge construction rubrics, so it must be interdisciplinary. So this meets the level 5 of the 21CLD knowledge construction rubric, which states that the main requirement is knowledge construction. It must be applied in new context, and the activity must be interdisciplinary. So select this, create a model of our solar system with the planet orbiting around the sun. Okay, that is correct. Students in a civic class read about the lives of past presidents and are tested on the material. For each of the following scenarios, select yes if it transforms the learning activity into one that involves knowledge construction according to the 21CLD knowledge construction rubric. Otherwise, select no. Okay, in knowledge construction, this happens when students do more than reproduce what they have learned. They go beyond knowledge reproduction to generate ideas and understanding that are new to them. So the skill required here is just critical thinking. So the students are just to interpret, and they are to analyze, they are to synthesize or evaluate information or ideas. So the activity of this knowledge construction just about critical thinking. So they are not just to reproduce the information that is given to them or what they have learned, but they are just to go beyond the knowledge reproduction to generate the ideas or understanding that are new to them. So let's look at this one after the other. So the educator assigned each student a different president to research. The students are to write a poem about their assigned president using techniques recently taught in their English class. Okay, this one has to do with knowledge construction. So using the knowledge they have gained in a previous class, then they have to apply it in a new um, setting. Okay, so students research the purpose and function of the electoral college and construct a mock presidential election where a candidate wins without the popular vote. Okay, this one as well is about knowledge construction. It's about knowledge construction. So students memorize the name and portrait of each president. Students play a matching game to reinforce their learning. This is not knowledge construction. So they are not applying it, or they are not they are just reproducing the knowledge. So they are not going beyond the knowledge. They are gain, or they are not generating any new idea or new information or understanding or something that is new to them. So that is no. Each student is assigned to read a biography on a president of their choice. The student must then write a book report using Microsoft Word. No, this does not have to do with knowledge construction, because they are not going beyond the knowledge they have gained, or they are not doing more than um reproduce what they have learned. So they must go, when it comes to knowledge construction, it happens when students do more than reproduce what they have learned. So they go beyond knowledge reproduction, rather, to generate ideas and understanding that are new to them. So they are just to analyze, they are to interpret, to analyze, to synthesize and evaluate information or idea. So this has to do with critical thinking. Okay, so that is done. So correct. The 21 CRD self-regulation rubric is shown in the following table. Level rubric. The prerequisites for self-regulation are not in place. Learning activity is not long-term, or students do not have both learning goals and associated success criteria in advance of completing their work. Learning activity level 2, the learning activity is long term and students do not or do have learning goals and associated success criteria in advance of completing their work, but students do not have the opportunity to plan their own work. Level 3, the learning activity is long term and students do have learning goals and associated success criteria in advance of completing their work, and students do have the opportunity to plan their own work, but students do not have the opportunity to revise their work based on feedback. The learning activity is long term and students do have learning goals and associated success criteria in advance of completing their work, and students do have the opportunity to plan their own work, and students do have the opportunity to revise their work based on feedback. For each of the following scenarios, select yes if the learning activity facilitates self-regulation at level 4 of the 21 CLD learning activity rubric, otherwise select no. Okay, in self-regulation, students take charge of their own learning. So they are like the bosses of their own learning or education. So students set goals for what they want to learn. They plan how to achieve those goals. They track their progress and check how they are doing. They reflect on what is all working and what is not. So they adjust their approach to get better results. So this is what happen in self-regulation. And what this does, the importance of it is just that it helps the student to become independent learner. So it helps them to become independent learners. So let's look at this now. Home construction students are using AutoCAD to design a house for a charitable organization as a service learning project. Students follow building standard required by the local government and incorporate it required or requirements provided by the organization. Students organize into groups of four and select the components of the home they want to design. They schedule meetings with the organization's director to review the progress of the project and acquire sign-offs and feedback until the project is completed. Okay, let's say this follow level 4. So if the learning activity facilitate level 4, facilitate self-regulation at level 4 of the 21 CLD. So level 4 says the learning activity is long-term and students do have learning goals and associated success criteria in advance of completing their work, and students do have the opportunity to plan their work or their work, and students do have opportunity to revise their work based on feedback. Okay, this follow or facilitate self-regulation. The activity facilitates self-regulation at level 4. So select yes here. Biology students are given an assignment to select an order set to research, collect samples, write a report, and create a PowerPoint presentation to share with the class. Students are given 3 weeks to complete the project. They are provided with a grading rubric and examples of computer project. Okay, this one does not follow. This one does not facilitate self-regulation at level 4. So select no. So another one, we have physical science students are organized into small groups for model rocket building project for model rocket building project. Students must use the materials provided to build their rocket, but they may design their rocket as they desire. Okay, no, this one does not facilitate. This learning activity does not facilitate self-regulation. So at level 4. So again, at the beginning of the term, political science students are instructed to choose a social issue to follow. They are to research the issue, follow its development, interview constituents from both sides, and write a end of an end of and write end of term paper, end of term paper, write an end of term paper on their findings. Students are provided with a grading rubric and an example paper. Students use Microsoft Word to create and submit a rough draft of the paper midterm. The instructor reviews the draft and provide feedback using the markup features in Microsoft Word. Okay, this also facilitates self-regulation at level 4 of the 21 CLD learning activity rubric. Okay, so all that is done. Correct. Archaeology students are assigned a project comparing world civilizations during the Bronze Age. Students are to write a short narrative and create a diorama that illustrates what life was like at that time in their assigned area of the world. The educator provides students with a grading rubric and makes the project due 4 weeks, which two modification would enable the learning activity to meet the requirements of level 4 according to the 21 CLD rubric for self-regulation. Choose 2. So in level 4, the students, they are just like they are basically self-regulating professionals. So at this level 4, it's like the master level. They are independently setting uh, goals and adjusting goals. So students know what they want to achieve, and they make changes to whatever things that they are doing. So critically, they evaluate progress. They deeply reflect on their work and identify areas for improvement. So this level, they already take ownership. They take ownership. They are proactive. They are motivated. They are motivated, and they drive their own learning. So let's look at this one after the other. So the first one, the educator is available to provide feedback throughout the 4 weeks or throughout the 4 week period. A draft version of the report will be available. A draft version of the report will be reviewed 1 week before the project deadline. Okay, so which two modification will enable the learning activity to meet the requirement of level 4 according to 21 CLD rubric for self-regulation. Okay, this should enable them to meet requirement of level 4. Then let's look at this. Students can choose to form a team or work individually. If in a team, each member is expected to participate equally. No, students are randomly assigned into teams or of three. Into teams of three. You assign tasks to each team by providing Microsoft OneNote notebook with due dates. Students track task completion by updating the OneNote document and submitting it each week to the educator. No. So students identify tasks for each team member to perform and document it in Microsoft OneNote. Students decide to extend the project deadline to 6 weeks. No. Students can choose to work in teams of 2 or 4 members. The team will select the civilization to study and assign tasks equally among members. The role of each team member and their task progress will be tracked on an Excel worksheet. Okay, this will enable the learning activity to meet the requirement of level 4 according to 21 CLD rubric for self-regulation. So that is at this point, the students they are self-regulating professionals. So they independently set and adjust goals. So they know what they want to achieve and they make changes. So these two learning activities meet the requirement of level 4 according to 21 CID rubric. Okay, okay, correct. You teach a senior level high school horticulture course. Your students were recently certified by the county as master gardeners. Your students are requested to help the local community by offering their expertise. Beginning gardeners, they divide themselves into team of 6 and distribute flyers advertising their free consulting services. You establish learning goals for your students and provide them with a rubric for grading their work at the end of the semester. Week 2 learning activities provide an opportunity for self-regulation according to level 4 of the 21 CLD self-regulation rubric. Choose 2. So in at level 4 of the 21 CLD self-regulation, students don't need much, much guidance. They are self-directed. So they continuously improve and refine their work. They apply learning strategies in new contexts. So they show high level of autonomy and confidence. So let's look at this one after the other. So you require the student to use ICT in their consulting services? No. The students team schedule meeting with teachers of other subjects or request interdisciplinary support? No. Students design their consulting task to be interdependent? No. When beginning gardeners gardeners make contact, the students distribute the consulting services among the teams, and the teams delegate work equally to their members. Yes. Okay, this will provide an opportunity for self-regulation according to level 4 of the 21 CLD self-regulation rubric. Okay, let's look at the last one. You meet with each student team regularly to follow their progress and provide suggestions for improvement. Yes. Okay, so that is done. Okay, correct. Which statement is required at level 4 of the 21 CLD self-regulation rubric? Students must have the opportunity to revise their work based on reliable feedback. A fundamental requirement of the main activity is to have long-term learning goals. During the learning activity, students plan their work. Students plan their own work. Okay, that's correct. Correct. A local veterinary clinic has announced a discount spay and neuter clinic to be held for dogs and cats next month. One of the veterinarians who works at the clinic has asked if your student could help advertise the clinic to the local community. You assign your pre-veterinary class the task of developing a marketing and education strategy that promotes the upcoming clinic. The goal is for students to create materials that can be used by the clinic to educate pet owners on the benefits of spaying and neutering. You will grade the student materials based on the rubric you've created. Which level of the 21 CRD rubric for real world problem solving and innovation does this learning activity meet? Okay, level 3, the learning activity's main requirement is problem solving, and the problem is a real world problem. But students do not innovate. They are not required to implement the ideas in the real world or to communicate their ideas to someone outside the academic context who can implement them. No. Level 4. The learning activities main requirement is problem solving, and the problem is a real world problem. And students do innovate. They are required to implement their ideas in the real world or to communicate their ideas to someone outside the academic context who can implement them. Okay, this should be correct. So that's the level 1. The learning activities main requirement is not problem solving. Students use previously learned answer or procedure for most of the work. Level 2, the learning activities main requirement is problem solving, but the problem is not a real world problem. Level 4 is correct. That is in the reward in 21 CRD reward problem solving innovation. um, it assesses how well learning activities tackle um, genuine problems. So it requires students to use critical thinking, creativity, and data to develop and implement solutions for outside audiences. And this is exactly what happens here, and that uh, is taken care of by level 4. So level 4, so it meets the learning activity. It meets the learning activity. So the students to create material that can be used by the clinic to educate owners on the benefit of spaying and nurturing. So that is done. Correct. The 21 CID reward problem solving and innovation rubric is shown in the following table. Level rubric. Level 1. Learning activities main requirement is not problem solving. Students use a previously learned answer or procedure for most of the work. Level 2. The learning activities main requirement is problem solving, but the problem is not a reward problem. Level 3. The learning activities main requirement is problem solving, and the problem is a reward problem, but students use but students do not innovate. They are not required to implement their ideas in the real world or to communicate their ideas to someone outside the academic context who can implement them. Level 4. The learning activities main requirement is problem solving, and the problem is a real world problem. And students do innovate. They are required to implement the ideas in the real world or to communicate their ideas to someone outside academic context who can implement them. Match the 21 CID reward problem solving innovation rubric level with the learning activity to answer. Drag the appropriate level from the column, column on the left to the learning activities on the right. Each level may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Okay. So students in a cooking class follow a recipe to create new dessert. So that's level one. Dessert level one. So you create a game for your class of mathematics students by providing them with six mind bender problems to solve. The first student to solve the mind benders wins a prize. Okay, that should be level 2. Students in a computer repair class learn to diagnose and replace failed components in a lab environment. Okay, that's level 3. Students in an architecture course volunteer to provide mini house designs for a local homes for the homeless charity. Each student is provided minimum specifications and maximum size dimensions, expected to augment the design with their own creative ideas. Okay, that's level 4. Okay, level 4. Okay, that is done. Correct. For each of the following scenarios, select yes if the learning activity facilitates real world problem solving according to the 21C LD real world problem solving and innovation rubric. Otherwise, select no. Your school district just announced plans to construct new playground at one of the elementary schools. Your pre-engineering class has been approved to design the plans. Okay, let's facilitate real world problem solving. Okay, so an activity provides, an educator provides students with a rubric for grading their end of term project and allows them to do peer evaluation. This does not facilitate real world problem solving. So we choose no. Select no. Students in a cooking class are provided a tray of ingredients and instructed to create an entree to be eaten and judged by their peers. Okay, this support or this facilitate real world problem solving. So students are instructed to create papers and score each other's quiz result. Students are instructed to trade papers and score each other's quiz result. No, this does not support or this does not facilitate real world problem solving according to 21 the real world problem solving and innovation rubric. Okay, correct. Students in your website development course are learning basic website design concepts. Which strategy requires students to problem solve, innovate, and apply a solution that benefits a reward audience? Students work in small groups to brainstorm ideas for website and present the design to their classmates. No. Students design a website of their own choice and submit it to their teacher for grading. No. A group of students want to redesign the school website and have asked you to lobby their request to the school administration. No, your students design a website for a local charity to raise money for children needing special medical equipment. Okay, this is it. So this requires students to problem solve, innovate, and apply a solution that benefits a reward audience. Your students design a website for a local charity to raise money for children needing special medical equipment. Correct. The 21 CRD ICT for Learning rubric is shown in the following table. Level rubric. Level 1. Students do not have the opportunity to use ICT for this learning activity. Level 2. Students use ICT to learn or practice basic skills or reproduce information. Level 3. Students use ICT to support knowledge construction, but they could construct the same knowledge without using ICT. Level 4. Students use ICT to support knowledge construction, and the ICT is required for constructing this knowledge. Level 5. Students use ICT to support knowledge construction. The ICT is required for constructing this knowledge. Students do create ICT products for authentic users. Match the 21 CRD ICT for Learning rubric levels on the left to the learning activities on the right. To answer, drag the appropriate rubric level from the column on the left to its learning activity on the right. Each rubric level may be used once, more than once, or not at all. Students use tutorial software to learn keyboarding skills. Students use tutorial software to learn keyboarding skills. Okay, level 2, students use ICT to learn or practice basic skills or produce information. Okay, so that is level 2. So students use students write a report using Microsoft Word. That's level 3. Students use ICT to support knowledge construction, but they could construct the same knowledge without ICT, without using ICT. Okay, so that should be level 3. They could still write a report without using Microsoft Word. So students use students research a current political event using the internet and watching news broadcasts. Okay, that's level 4. Students use ICT support knowledge construction, and the ICT is required for constructing this knowledge. Okay, that is level 4. So you drag it. So that is done. Correct. This question requires that you evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. Your students are working on an art project that requires each student to perform the following tasks: capture a data photograph of a mammal, a fish, and a bird. Use these images to produce a watercolor collage. In order to meet level 5 of the 21 CLD, use of ICT for learning rubric. The project could be modified so students create the collage using clay instead of watercolors. Review the underlying text. If it makes the statement correct, select no change is needed. If the statement is incorrect, select the answer choice that makes the statement correct. Paint the collage using acrylics. No. Print the photographs. No. No change is needed. No. Use a photo editing software to create the collage and apply a watercolor effect. So this meets the level 5 of the 21 CLD use of ICT for learning rubric. So you select this. Correct. For each of the following scenarios, select yes if the learning activity facilitates student use of ICT according to the 21 CLD ICT rubric. Otherwise, select no. Students use a PowerPoint to create a presentation about the life cycle of the honeybee. Yes. Students read an article about how Microsoft 365 is increasing productivity of small businesses worldwide. No. Students analyzed ticket sales of their various high school sports, display the result in a pie chart using Excel. Yes, correct. Which two learning activities fulfill student learning outcomes according to the 21 CLD student use of ICT rubric? Choose two. Students in a computer science class use Minecraft Education Edition to apply simple game design concepts. Select this. Social studies students create a poll about an upcoming election and store the information collected in a Microsoft Access database. Okay, select this. Students use Teams to ask a parent for a ride from home. No. Students in a physical education class play Microsoft Golf when the weather won't allow the class to go outside. No. The high school aviation club create a GoFundMe page so they can purchase an airplane. No. Correct. For each of the following scenarios, select yes if the ICT resource helps resolve logistical challenges of reaching the desired educational outcome. Otherwise, select no. There are not enough computers in your classroom for students to have one-to-one devices. So you pair the students and have them share. No. As students in a New York school use teleconferencing to visit Mona Lisa exhibit at the Louvre Museum in Paris, France, and ask questions of the tour guide. Yes. You acquire a set of USB drives for students to use for submitting homework assignments. No. You acquire a flight simulator to safely teach your aviation students the basic skills of flying a small craft. Yes. Correct. You want to teach your chemistry students about violent reaction that can occur when specific compounds are mixed with a catalyst, but the reactions are too dangerous for students to perform. Select the best ICT resource to help resolve or manage the logistical challenges of reaching the desired educational outcome. You demonstrate the reaction from the front of the class and require all of the students to wear safety goggles and protective clothing. No. You show your students video clips of the violent reactions. You assign your students a series of journal articles to read about these dangerous reactions. No. You use a PowerPoint presentation to explain the reaction to your students. No. So the best resource would be this. You show your students video clips of the violent reactions. Correct. This question requires that you evaluate the underlying text to determine if it is correct. You work in an elementary school with the following ICT resources: 3 portable carts with enough tablets, computers for one-to-one student use, six document cameras, 6 digital cameras, DVD player connected to large DVD monitor in every classroom, desktop computer and projector in each classroom, site license of Microsoft 365. Your class of 11 to 12-year-old students have been studying butterflies. You assign them to collect specimens over the weekend and bring them to class to share and discuss. According to 21 CRD use of ICT to be an effective educator, the best resources to support your educational outcome will be to take photos of the students' specimens and put them into a PowerPoint presentation. Review the underlying text. If it makes the statement correct, select no change is needed. If the statement is incorrect, select the answer choice that makes the statement correct. No change is needed. Connect a document camera to the projector to display each butterfly. Photograph the butterflies with the digital cameras and connect them to the projector for display. Have the student photograph each butterfly with a tablet, then use the tablet to enlarge the butterflies for discussion. Okay, with all of these resources, okay, connect a document camera to the projector to display each butterfly. Will be the best choice. Okay, okay. So the best resource to support your educational outcome will be to connect the document camera to the projector to display each butterfly. Correct. You teach creative writing to a class of 15 to 16-year-old students. You've been studying poetry and the structure of stanzas. You want to share some of the students' work with the class. Poems were handwritten on paper. According to 21 CLD, use of ICT to be an effective educator. Which resources will be the best support your educational outcome? Microsoft Word? No. Microphone connected to a loudspeaker? No. PowerPoint presentation and projector? No. Document camera connected to a projector? So you want to share some of the student work. Document connected to a projector. Document camera. Sorry. Document camera connected to a projector. Document camera connected to a projector. Correct. You are a physical education teacher with a class of 40 students. You have divided the class into teams to learn specific sports. The physical education department has 4 digital cameras, 8 video cameras, and 4 laptop computers. You have created a series of activities that teach popular strategies executed during a of the sport. One of the activities requires each team to demonstrate their mastery of the strategies so the entire class can discuss and critique. According to 21 CRD, use of ICT to be an effective educator with pedagogical approach using ICT resources will best meet the educational outcome. At the conclusion of the activity series, have each team perform a self-evaluation using an online survey. No. Randomize the activities so the teams can use the laptop computers at different times. No. Instruct the teams to photograph their skill demonstrations and post them onto the school blog for critique. No. Instruct the teams to video record their demonstrations so they can be shown to the entire class. Yes. Okay, that will be the best. This will best meet the educational outcome. So instruct the teams to video record their demonstrations so they can be shown to the entire class. Correct. You teach a class of 20 students, ages 11 to 12 years old. You have access to a wheeled cart containing 12 laptop computers that you share with another class. You have a desktop computer and a projector in your class. You are teaching a unit about trees and want the student to understand how different species of trees grow over time. You will provide the student with photographs of trees and tables of data. The students must use this information to produce charts in Microsoft Excel and share their findings with the class using PowerPoint. According to 21 CLD, use of ICT to be an effective educator, which pedagogical approach using ICT resources will best meet the educational outcome. Divide the class into 10 pairs of students. Assign each pair to work collaboratively to create the chart and presentation. Create a rotation schedule with the other class so you can use the computers. Assign every student a turn on the computer to produce their own chart and presentation. Divide the projector, divide the project into series of tasks. Allocate each task to a different Students. Assign all of the students to create their own chart and presentation. Divide the class into 10 pairs. Assign each student to create their own chart and presentation. Which pedagogical approach using ICT resources will best meet the educational outcome? Divide the class into 10 pairs of students. Assign each pair to work collaboratively to create the chart and presentation. It should be correct. Okay, correct.
Well done. You've completed this MC practice exam session. Keep practicing and stay exam ready. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for more sessions. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.